Hey guys, it's me again, and today we're going to take a look at Chromatic Blade. Now, I don't remember if I made a formal video on the augment itself, but what it does is it converts Exalted Blade into a pure elemental weapon and it gives it a lot of status chance. While it was a great augment, I didn't use it simply because I found it to be lacking against enemies with elemental resistances and sentience. So I couldn't really recommend it because you couldn't use it in every scenario, and I stuck with Shattering Impact Exalted Blade. But with the helmet system, I was finally able to do something about that. So I decided to put Xata's Whisper on Umbra. Now you guys already know how I feel about Zaku, and when I was doing testing for this video, Xata's Whisper is a confusing power to say the least, but to sum it up, Xata's Whisper is +1 multi-shot that deals void damage separately from your weapon's other elements, similar to how an AoE weapon could have different elements on the explosion versus the direct hit. Xata's Whisper also double dips on hit mods like the new Soma augment, and that's because the void portion counts as a separate instance of damage, hence why I summed it up as +1 multi-shot. However, you do not get void damage properties, meaning that it does not reset sentient adaptation, but the void status effect does, which is perfect for Chromatic Blade since we got a lot of status chance that would normally be useless against sentience. The void status effect is also great against sentience because it effectively means you don't have to aim for their arms to disarm them anymore. So with what is effectively a multi-shot on Exalted Blade, I deal so much damage that I actually don't need the armor strip from Shattering Impact at all. Even the wave deals decent damage when normally it wouldn't do that much. Now, since void doesn't count as elemental or physical, that means I can also deal more damage inside of an elemental enhancement sortie on everyone except for Eximus units. For some reason, they are completely immune to Xata's Whisper, but not immune to the operator. I'm not at all sure why this happens, but it's literally the only real problem with this setup. That and it completely destroys your fashion frame, but other than that, I'd recommend all Chromatic Blade users to give this a try, as it literally gets rid of all but one weakness that Chromatic Blade had. So here's the build. Umbra doesn't have a whole lot of mod freedom, so you gotta have all the Umbra mods to make them better for the most part. And as much as I want to remove this and put like a range mod here, you just can't really do that without lowering your power strength and your health as well. But for the most part, it's literally just the same as my main build, but instead of having stretch, I have Chromatic Blade, and as well as I have the same amount of power strength that I have, and I have the correct amount of efficiency and duration to get as low as drain as possible on Exalted Blade, and also has a very low cost as well. Now, I just learned this today. I don't know why this is a thing, but it turns out if you put your duration mods before you have mods that reduce duration, you get more duration. If you put them further back, you get less, or behind them rather. Why is this a thing? Like, you see, if I put this in slot 4, yep, reduce duration. But I put this in slot, oh, what is it, 7? What is happening? I don't know. I just discovered this like a couple minutes ago. Why is that a thing? But now, as far as my Exalted Blade goes, it's the exact same. Mainly because I am lazy and I didn't remove Shattering Impact. But if you are not going to use Shattering Impact, you need to put another forma here, and I'd highly recommend Healing Return, because Umbra kind of struggles against hit scan weapons at the high end, and also sometimes his auto block glitches out and stops working. So you're gonna want to have some way of healing in case that stops working, and ideally Healing Return would be your best bet. But also since I never like really switch configs on Umbra anyways, since like you can't just say go to config like B, for example, and then also have it switch to whatever config you want there. You have to switch both of them. I'd rather just have one config switch instead of the other one. But that's my build for the most part. But against Symbolists at level 170, Xata's Whisper, go to town. You can see it's doing very, very good, because we're basically proccing void damage on every single hit, so none of our damage is ever mitigated at all, and they can't really get adaptation, which is great. And even just the wave itself does decent damage. Oh, let me add back Xata's Whisper, and you can see even that's dealing decent damage. I could get even more damage from the stealth multipliers of Radio Howl here. And I can get an additional hit by hitting him directly, because Xata's Whisper counts as a separate hit. So does hitting them directly in the wave, so you get like triple hit, multi-shot basically, with Exalted Blade. But even without Chromatic Blade, this still is a powerful option. While it doesn't proc Void as much, because, you know, status chance is reduced. It's not as high, it's not 100%. You see, even with Void, I still get the mitigation sometimes. It still does quite a decent amount of damage. So even if you aren't using Chromatic Blade, I'd definitely say Xata's Whisper is the way to go against Sentients, and even against like regular enemies, it's pretty solid as well. So if we go back to Chromatic Blade, let me see how much status chance we have. We have like 130% status chance with Chromatic Blade, and without Chromatic Blade we have 24? Yeah. But like against regular enemies, so let's say like a Heavy Gunner, for example. Essentially just spawn in 20 of them. Activate Xata's Whisper. Yeah. And it just melts them like butter. Because who would have thought a multi-shot and on an exalted weapon that, you know, can't really get multi-shot is pretty good. And even then, let's say a Corrupted Heavy Gunner Eximus, right? And if we decide to use our whole kit, so we use stealth multipliers, look at that damage. So who would have thought Xata's Whisper is actually just better on other Warframes? Specifically Umbra and like Mesa, and I tried this on Korra, and it turns out that Korra's whip explosion does not proc Void for some reason when you have Xata's Whisper, and I have no idea why. Maybe because the status chance is different, or maybe it doesn't proc status at all. I don't know. But give this a try if you decide to grind another Zaku. I think it's worth it, especially for we're gonna get Scarlet Spear back again, and we're gonna get like New War later on and stuff. And even against regular enemies, having the multi-shot on Exalted Blade is very, very good. It just destroys your faction frame, as you can see. I don't know why it just covers you in this fucking infested ick for something that gives you fucking void damage. Whatever. But yeah. Anyway, guys, that's all for me. I want to thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. And to catch you guys next time. Peace.